This is my experience of what it takes to get a channel off the ground, okay? And the first thing that I would suggest that you do is don't think too much about whether you are ready for it, whether there is gonna be anybody that is gonna recognize you, whether your family is gonna have any problem. Look, nobody cares. Nobody cares about anything these days. The cycle of news these days is not like days like before, it's hours, sometimes even minutes. Your first video is gonna look nothing like a video that you're gonna be making a year later or 2 years later or 3 years later. But in order to get to that level of quality that you're gonna be making in 3 years time, you need to go through all the different stages, and that's just the way it is. So the sooner you do it, the sooner you're gonna get to that level of quality. And don't worry about big numbers or subscribers or views. Just do it and learn the process along the way. You're gonna have to do absolutely everything. And that's a concept that I struggled to even comprehend when I started, because I was used to work as part of a crew or as part of a team, and then you specialize on a certain aspect of maybe camera work or lighting camera work or production, and then you have a team of people and everybody's doing something else. But when you do YouTube, you have to do everything. You have to do the camera work, you have to do the sound, the lighting, the editing, the ideation, the writing, the graphics, the effects, the sound effects. It's just overwhelming. And a lot of the times you watch this video, some people say, oh, you should do this and that and implement this strategy or that strategy, and it sounds great, but you don't know how many people there are behind that person, that content creator, that YouTuber. And a lot of the times there are teams of people behind that person. So yeah, that person says, I upload 3 videos on every platform every day and I do it consistently, and that's what you need to do. And you think that that's the way to go. And for him, it might be okay. But for you, single person, you're gonna spread too thin because it's just you. And that person might have 5, 6, 8, 10, 15 people behind, and each of those 15 people are doing something different. So always treat the advice that you watch on YouTube with a pinch of salt, because the personal circumstances of that content creator that is creating that video might be, or is probably going to be very different than yours as a one-man band, all doing it by yourself. Normally, when you talk to people, when you talk to someone, you have body language and you have a face and eyes that blink, and we understand a lot by gestures. And you start talking to a camera, and then you're talking down the barrel of a lens, and the lens doesn't blink, the camera doesn't move, there is no body language, there is nothing else other than this cold lens that is literally looking at you. It's gonna take a while to get used to not only just to talk to camera, but to look at the camera. And that is something that it takes a while to get used to. And if you take every single content creator and YouTuber that you follow and you watch videos regularly, and you look at their videos a year earlier, 2 years earlier, 3 years earlier, you're gonna realize that there is a progression. That person didn't start delivering the videos on camera the way they do now. They started probably just as you did. And if you are someone that scripts absolutely everything, I strongly recommend that you don't do that and you move on to bullet points, because it's gonna save you a ton of time that you can then dedicate to your videos, because editing text and make it sound like you are talking to a camera, it takes a lot of time and effort. Don't focus on the equipment, okay? The equipment doesn't matter at all, especially when you started. Most people today have smartphones, so if that's all you have, that's what you use. And there are channels out there with millions of subscribers that they film everything on smartphones, because it's not the same doing a channel about cinematography than it is about makeup tips, okay? The expectations of the people watching that content are gonna be very different. Make sure that you record good audio. Get first the sound right, and then invest on some lighting, okay? And I have a couple of videos that I put somewhere on the screen where I show you different ways and techniques to light YouTube videos. If you have lighting equipment, you're gonna have to commit to your YouTube channel, okay? Because if you don't post or upload videos, obviously your channel is not gonna grow. You need to do this in a way that is consistent with your lifestyle, because if you can post one video a week, that's what you can do. That's great. If you cannot do one every week and you can do only one every 2 weeks, well, that's it. Don't get bogged down because some people post one video a day or 2 or 3 videos every week. Never compare yourself to another person, because you don't know the personal circumstances to those people. A lot of the times, successful YouTube channels are the second, third, fourth, fifth, sometimes even 10th channel that person has started, and they had a learning process for years with failed YouTube channels until they sort of work out what makes click in whatever it is that they do, and then suddenly that YouTube channel goes to the moon. You don't know what that person had to go through. I know quite a few YouTube channels that the person that is now fronting that YouTube channel was working before for another channel, or 2 or 3 or 4 different channels before, as a cameraman or as an editor or as a producer, and then they learn from those channels, from those content creators, and then they apply that to their channel. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint, okay? You're gonna have to look at this on a 5 to 7 year, maybe even 10-year basis, okay? This is a long journey. If you think that you're gonna open or you're gonna start your YouTube channel and within 6 months you're gonna be on 100,000 subscribers or 1 million subscribers and, you know, raking in a lot of money, you are so wrong. And yes, there are exceptions to the rule, and there are these 1 or 2 YouTube channels that maybe that's what happens to them. But back to what I said earlier, you don't know the personal circumstances of that creator. Maybe they had several failed YouTube channels and then suddenly they worked out what they need to do for their new channel to go to the moon. If you cannot commit to that long-term strategy, maybe this is not for you, because this is a long game. And yes, occasionally you're gonna have a video that pops and makes 10 times or 20 times your average number of viewers, but that's not the norm, it's the exception. I cannot stress enough to be careful about watching these YouTube gurus that they have channels about growth on YouTube and the different strategies that you can do or that you should do, because they keep pumping content on a weekly basis and it's impossible to follow them all through. And most, if not all, of these channels are fairly big and they have teams of people with them, okay? So they tell you that you need to do a certain strategy of posting a video or shorts every day of the week, and that might not be possible for you. And if you fall for that and you think, oh my God, I need to be posting 1 short every day or 1 video every 2 days, and then you try and do that on top of your life or your job or your family, you're gonna go absolutely mental. You're gonna spread too thin, and then you're gonna burn out. And it happens, and it happens a lot. So just be very careful. Watch what everybody says that you should do with a pinch of salt, because the personal circumstances, back what I said earlier, are very different than yours, are very different than mine. Just because you go into the YouTube Partner Program and your videos start to be monetized doesn't mean that you're gonna make any substantial money, okay? Because most videos will only give you $10, $20, $30. You need to be in like several tens, if not hundreds of thousands of views to make some money. Just because you see someone that has a certain amount of money earned for, let's say, 100,000 views, doesn't mean that your video is gonna generate the same amount of money. You might generate 10 times less or 10 times more. I'm not gonna be sugarcoating this. You're gonna be making $200, $300, $400 a month from AdSense, and that's it. You're gonna have to find different revenue streams because if you think you're gonna have a livelihood from AdSense, you are so kidding yourself. And again, there are exceptions to the rule, and there are channels that make tens of thousands from AdSense, but you should not expect your channel to be that exception to the rule. Mental health is a serious problem. Just as much as it is in real life, it is when you do YouTube content creation. You might want to be uploading a video every week, and some weeks you might be able to do that video in 5 days, other ones in 7 or 8 days. And you have to keep things going, and there is a lot of pressure. And then you see other channels that are doing 10 times better than you, and then suddenly you start going through the analytics and thinking, what can I do better? What am I doing wrong? What is that channel doing or that person doing that suddenly is getting the channel going into a parabolic pattern? Have they cracked something that you don't know? Are they doing anything different? And you're gonna have to be looking at all these different nuances on your channel and the competition, and it can get you, it really can. And you need to come up with your own ideas and your own concepts, and then you need to reach out to brands, and then you need to negotiate any money, any payments, and it's just a lot. So mental health is a real issue, and my advice to this is that it's okay to slow down. It really is like that. Nobody cares if you post a video every week, every 2 weeks, or every month. Only you care. And this is the pressure that you apply to yourself. Take a step back. And sometimes it's actually better that you take some time off and go and wind down and look at things from a different perspective. If you don't have the energy, if you don't have the stamina, if you don't have the willpower to do it, just don't do it. Take that much longer to do a video. Don't finish a video halfway through as good as you want it to be because you have to post a video every week. If it takes a video 2 weeks to post, well, so be it. Make sure that you post something that is good quality over quantity. That's one thing that I've learned. If your video is not seen by people, it's because people don't want to watch the video. And this is something that I also took some time to accept and understand and come to terms with it, because a lot of the times you spend a lot of times creating a video and it flops and nobody watches it. And yes, I could spend 3 days or 4 days or a whole week going through analytics and try to understand and change thumbnails and titles and get really stressed over it. And it doesn't matter. You just move on and get on to the next one. Because the worst thing that you can do for your channel growth is to think that, oh my God, I'm not growing fast enough. And I really hope that I get this viral video that is gonna send my channel skyrocketing to the moon. And a lot of the times that might actually be the worst thing that can happen to you, because let's say that you creating your small videos and then suddenly you have a video that goes literally to the moon and you get 1 million views. It goes absolutely viral, and suddenly you get 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 subscribers, and you go from 500 subs, doing videos on your own and making mistakes on the camera, and suddenly you go 50,000 subscribers because you just gone viral. That is potentially the worst thing that could happen to you, because these new subscribers, they have an expectation. They expect you to be creating the same type of content. Maybe you created a video that somehow was amazing, and they expect every single video to be just as good. And if you don't give it to them, you're gonna start losing subscribers. And the amount of stress that you're gonna have because suddenly you see your subscriber count going down in the hundreds or the thousands, that's another level. You don't want that. The best thing is to start your channel and develop gradual, okay? I know that it's a contradiction because you are in this platform and you want to grow as quick as possible, and we all want to grow as fast as possible. Don't get me wrong, I wish I had 10 times, 100 times the number of subscribers that I have. But I've come to realize that sometimes slow is fast, because it will allow you to learn from your mistakes, and every single video you get a little bit better. That's one piece of advice that is genuinely good, okay? You should try and do something better or different in every video. It could be about getting the right camera settings, or getting the right lighting, or where you position yourself. You know, every video should be a progression. YouTube is a very lonely place to be, okay? To try to launch a YouTube channel, it's something that you're gonna have to do on your own. You should not rely on anybody, and you cannot rely on absolutely anybody. And that might be a little bit too much for many people, because you are literally on your own. If you try to get help from anybody, the first thing you're gonna get is, what's in it for me? Because people have their own lives with their own expenses. And if you come out and say, look, I need someone to help me, but I cannot pay, they might help you once, twice, but that's it. You're gonna have to pay them. So that's a cost that you may or may not be able to afford. It's a concept that is gonna take some time to sink in, but you're gonna be ringing people around to help you and they're not gonna be available. Or they might be available, but not on the day or days that you need them to be. And they cannot be as flexible and thrilled about your channel as you are. They're not gonna be so excited about doing a particular video for a particular brand as you are, because it's not their thing. This is one thing that I feel a lot of the times people don't mention so much, or at least they don't make a point of mentioning, is that YouTube is a very lonely place to be, and you need to be of a certain type and mentality. It requires a certain personality, a certain type of person. You need to be comfortable being on your own. If you are not someone that is comfortable spending long time on your own, working by yourself, if you need people around you, maybe YouTube is not going to be something that is sustainable long term. And I am not telling you this to scare you away from starting a YouTube channel, because this is absolutely amazing when it works and when you start making money from this. This is the best job ever, but it's not for everybody. And I am telling you this because it requires a certain personality and a certain attitude to life to thrive in this environment. For instance, I review camera equipment and lighting equipment, and sometimes the videos, they are very successful, other times they're not. But I put this equipment to use on my own videos. So when I go to a client, I use this equipment. I also rent my equipment out through websites like Wedio and Fat Llama, and I generate revenue streams that way so that I compensate for not earning much money on YouTube. And believe me, I make more money outside YouTube than on YouTube itself. And another thing that I do is I have digital assets like LUTs, and I sell those. I am now creating the first of 3 courses that I'm gonna do on filmmaking and content creation, and hopefully those will generate more. I am beginning to use YouTube for my own benefit rather than YouTube using me for their own benefit, because it's very easy to just create content for the sake of creating content. I want to create 1 video a week because I'm gonna hopefully get my subscribers up to 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, a progression. And then you fall into this pattern of creating content for very little money, and the only one that is benefiting here is YouTube. If you want to generate a sustainable income that keeps growing as your YouTube channel grows, you should start thinking about additional or external revenue streams, and YouTube becomes a vehicle to grow those revenue streams. Because if you just pump content for the sake of creating content, the only one that is benefiting here is YouTube. And if you ever compare the amount of time and energy that takes you to make a video and the amount of money that you get on AdSense, you actually realize that you're getting paid well below minimum wage. And that's why you see more and more content creators giving away things for free so that they can capture emails. And that includes myself. I'm beginning to do that because that's the only way to try and generate additional revenue streams, because otherwise this is not sustainable and you're gonna go crazy and you're gonna burn out. Believe me, burnout is very real and it goes hand in hand with mental health. Okay, these are 2 very serious issues. The only way to do this is if you don't rely on a single revenue stream and take things easy, chill out. There is no need to get overworked because you don't put extra content on any given week. You know, you do what you can do and that's gonna be totally okay. And don't try to be someone else because you saw that person being very successful, or you think that you should talk like them or behave like them. No, you should be yourself, because that's what people are gonna subscribe to, because there is nothing worse than trying to be someone else. It's just not sustainable. People will subscribe because they like you, because they feel a connection with you, because they like something from you, and not because you are copying someone else. There is only one Peter McKinnon. There is only one Mr. Beast. And if you try to mimic or copy them, it's just gonna look horrible. Just be yourself, and that's the best, literally that is the best advice anybody can give you. The majority of channels out there are just normal, average people that have something to offer to the audience. And that's not necessarily looks, okay? It's your personality, is how much you know about a certain subject, the way you deliver it, how you deliver that content, the way you edit, the way you speak, that has a lot more value than whether you are good looking or whether you are taller or shorter. A YouTube channel is not about what is good for you, it's about what is good for your audience, what content resonates with them. What is your YouTube channel about? It's not what you are about. For instance, I'm used to work with high-end cameras and high-end lenses, and my channel is about compact cameras, smartphones, and sort of a prosumer type of equipment. That's not professional equipment. Now, I could literally try and pump that content into my channel, but my audience is not going to be very receptive about it. And that's going to be very liberating, because you're going to stop worrying about whether that particular video or type of content resonates with you, and is more about, is this particular type of content gonna resonate with my audience? Is that gonna be of any value to them? And that change in mentality is, in my opinion, very, very helpful. And don't fall trap that you have to work hard all the time, and every single minute of the day has to be productive, and you need to work harder than anybody. No, take a breather, okay? That works for that person or for those people, as I said earlier, based on the personal circumstances, because someone might need that level of commitment or that constant productivity, but someone else, it might be too much, and you don't need that. Just think about working clever. Is there anything that you can systemize so that you don't have to come up with something new every single time? That's gonna save you so much time, because there are gonna be times that you're just gonna feel overwhelmed and tired and think, is this going anywhere? And it happens to me. Sometimes I think, what's the point of doing all of this hard work? I don't see my subscriber count going up, or I don't see a certain level of income every month, or an idea or a project doesn't go through, and then suddenly that has a knock-on effect and you feel like shit. And it happens, okay? It's gonna happen to everybody. And you need to understand one thing, that every single struggle that you go through today is a struggle that the bigger channels had to go through as well. And that commitment to consistency is what's going to allow you to be successful. But rest assured, there will be times that you are gonna think that this is pointless. And guess what? It's okay. It's okay to take a few steps back. That it's okay to slow down. You don't need to be all the time going at full speed. If you are someone at a later age with a family, with kids and wife and cousins, and maybe your parents or grandparents are living in the house, you're gonna have less time than someone that is in the late teens or early 20s on their own. They can dedicate morning, afternoon, evening, and weekends, and you might not have the time. If you're starting, just focus on creating good content, quality over quantity, and over time, all of these things will start to make sense. And I really hope that you enjoyed this video, that you got something valuable out of it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.